Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's meeting of Stanley Town Council. As usual, it's been recorded and can be accessed on YouTube. I always get that wrong. On YouTube anytime you feel like it. First item on tonight's agenda would be apologies for absence.
Sorry, we've received apologies for absence from Councillor Carl Marshall, Councillor Alan Jones, Councillor Dean Fall, Councillor Sam McMahon and Councillor Christine Bell.
Right. Thank you. And now, has anyone any declarations of interest to make for any items on tonight's agenda? No? All right. Thank you. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is Mayor's announcements. I don't have any announcements, but Helen, do you?
I don't have any announcements.
Oh. Right, okay. Public participation. Oh, wait a minute. I've missed a bit. I've missed a bit. Leader's statement. Jeanette, have you got anything to say? Right.
Not at the moment, apart from a big thank you to Councillor Nicholson and Councillor Bell for heeding our plea at the last meeting and trying to help take this whole process forward on behalf of Stanley Town Council. So big thank you.
Right, thank you for that. And public participation, this is item 5. We don't have any members of the public present. Have we got any questions on behalf of members of the public?
No, not at the moment.
No? Anyone? No? Right, moving on to item 6, Stanley Community Fund. It's attachment A. To note the information from Stanley Community Fund in relation to the 3-year report and funding process. Proposal. Helen, have you?
Yeah. Chair, this report went to the Finance and General Purpose meeting at the beginning of April, and a number of members had a number of questions in relation to the report that was given, and asked if a representative from the Stanley Community Fund could come to tonight's meeting. Unfortunately, they didn't have anybody who could come to tonight's meeting, but I did ask councillors if they had any questions they would like to put to them. I did get 4 questions, and those have been put to the Stanley Fund, and they have responded. So I can either share the response with you via email, or I can read it out to yourselves, question by question.
How do you feel? Would it? Yes? Yeah, Jeanette?
I would just suggest that they're circulated and then people can read them at leisure rather than you have to read anything out.
Okay. Anyone? Is that all right with everyone? We just circulate them? Okay. All right, thanks for that. We're now on to attachment B, confirmation of the minutes. To approve as a record and sign the minutes of the ordinary council meeting 22nd of March 2020. Do we have a proposer for that? Okay, thanks Alex. And do we have a seconder? Thanks Carol. All right. So they've been proposed and seconded to receive receipt of the committee minutes, to receive the minutes of the Finance and General Purposes Committee, March the 8th of March 2020. That's attachment C. We got that one. Right. Are we happy to receive those? Yeah? Yeah. Accounts for payments and bank reconciliation. Have we? Yes, Angela?
Can I propose that we take them as one item and move that we accept them, please?
Right. Okay. That's is that all right with everyone? We move on. We accept them as one item. So can I have a seconder for that? Okay, right. That's it. Right. We're down to item 10, the Civic Hall update. This is yours, Helen, I think, is it? Yeah.
This is to receive information on behalf of myself in respect of the Civic Hall maintenance update and to approve the recommendation of the Finance and General Purpose Committee on the 12th of April to move the underspend with regards to building projects and repairs from the 2021-22 budget and earmark it as a reserve for building works contingency budget in the 2022-23 budget. Has everybody had a chance to read through the report?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any questions?
Have you got anything? Anyone?
No.
No.
Unfortunately, tonight's incident happened again last night as well, which is why, for some reason, this is a prime time for youths to be on our flat roof. The flat roof can't be run across. It's already had significant damage when the scaffolding was thrown through the window because youths were up there. Obviously, you know, the items in the report are the big maintenance items that we are going to need to have looked at. So if members are happy to agree the recommendation, to note the information regarding to the current condition of the building and the maintenance required, to approve the recommendation of the Finance and General Purpose Committee to move the underspend, and there needs to be a discussion, an agreement and a commitment to what plan following the D3 report as to what is going to happen next. Sadly, the building is limping along. You know, we still have a significant number of events in here. The building is old. It needs some significant maintenance. We had the presentation of the D3 report. Councillors Nicholson and Bell have been, you know, working with Durham County Council in relation to funding. But there is a time when yourselves need to get together and decide what the future of the building is going to be. I appreciate it's an extremely difficult decision to be made, but a decision needs to be made, and it probably needs to be made quite soon, because you have to give 12 months notice on your lease if the decision was to hand back the building. You know, we are working with Durham County Council at the moment in relation to have one of the boilers repaired. They have all the paperwork because we have to ask for consent. You know, we are keeping the building as safe as we possibly can, but it does cost money, and, you know, if worst case scenario the building has to go back, a decision needs to be made about what condition the building goes back in. If you choose to keep the building, you know, what work needs to be done, what maintenance needs to be done to bring it up to current standards. So, you know, I don't know whether you want to discuss now how you go forward with it. You know, is it a case of we have a workshop where everybody attends and we work you work through it like that, or would you like a smaller subgroup that could work through it and feed back? There are a couple of options there, but, you know, there is a time when we need to move to the next level. We need to take another step forward.
Right. You've heard that. What is the opinion of people as to having a workshop? Well, we do need to have a workshop, but as to having a small subgroup, or to do it as a larger group? Have we got anyone got any views on this? No?
I think we should have a smaller group.
A smaller group?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know whether Helen, you want to. Oh yes, sorry, Helen. The other Helen.
Personally, I see where Alex is coming from.
Yeah.
However, we had that for several years and nothing happened. I
Yeah.
don't think we can do it from a small group. I think it's got to be a full council decision. And unfortunately, as you've said, there are some very, very major decisions that need to be made. And I don't think it all hinges on the civic. If we do want to keep the civic, we also do need to look at where some of our other spends are going. Because I think, unfortunately, if we can't sustain ourselves, we have to look at the other things that we are funding.
Sorry, I say the larger group as well. Yeah.
Yeah, again, a larger group, that everyone has a say in it. It's not left to a few people.
Okay, right. The general consensus seems to be that we do it as a larger group, as many people as it can attend. So, were you going to look into setting that up then? In that case, we'll get it set up and then take it forward from there. Right.
On setting up this big working
Yes.
group, because otherwise it may get talked about and
Yeah, we can, I'll make sure it's set up within the next 2 weeks. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Helen. Are we... Have we... anyone else got any comments to make on that one before we move on? Okay. Sorry, Helen, it's you again for the staffing report.
I thought it would be best to bring this report in relation to staffing because there have been significant changes within the staffing team. We've come out of a pandemic where the Civic Hall and the events are extremely busy at the moment, which adds additional pressure to the town council team, because it's the town council team that are running the civic events as well as running the town council business. Obviously, I've been in post since the 7th of February. The deputy clerk is no longer with us. However, that vacancy hasn't been recruited to. I've reviewed some of the workload that they were undertaking, and at the time felt it was more important to have, apologies for the term, a bum on a seat than actually another deputy clerk, because we actually needed people to undertake tasks and support the civic function as well as support administrative functions. On reviewing the work of the deputy clerk, there is a lot of project work that they do, and they apply for grant funding. You know, so that work will still be there. It is still there for the community. We still do projects, which is why I'm recommending that the council consider a projects and grants officer just on a temporary basis, because at the moment, because until the decision of what happens with the Civic Hall is made, I don't believe it would be in the best interests of the council to make permanent roles until we find ourselves moving forward and decisions are made. Obviously, if you did agree to the recommendation of a projects and grants officer role, that would have to go and be evaluated by the HR department at Durham County, because we don't actually have a role like that currently. In relation to town council and civic hall staffing, the civic hall's open around about 60 hours a week, working with some big events. We've had a number of sporting events of late. We've had some negative feedback in relation to some of the events that have been held in the past, and myself and the event support team have met those clients and made a commitment to them that we will make their event better than it can be. However, we have crossed a number of issues in relation to the cost, despite us being one of the cheapest venues around. We are criticised highly. Everybody wants us to do it for nothing, or practically cheap as chips, that's what I'll say. The reason we've got to put staff in the building on an event, because if not, there's a risk to the staff, there's a risk to the building, there's a risk to the people who come to the event, then there's a risk to the event as well. So we've got to maintain that we have a number of staff in the building. So that not only includes the town council staff, because you've got myself and 2 events and administration officers, and you've got the facilities officer and the events officer. You've technically got 3 people doing the job of 6 people, because it is so busy. I have worked the last 2 Saturdays to support the big events that we've had on. We have a pool of casuals. This week, this Saturday, unfortunately, where we should have had 9 staff, we had 5, and that was including myself, and not one member of the casual team, the new casual team, was part of that 5. There are some safety and risk implications about holding these big events. I've witnessed this for myself, and I'm not convinced that the Civic Hall is the best place to hold some of these big sporting events. They're very difficult to manage, and there is a lot of alcohol drank, which is quite good. You know that, it's good sales on the bar, but there is a risk. You know, there was quite a nasty accident on Saturday that we had to deal with, and I do feel on an operational basis, if the building was to be retained, you look at the type of event you do want to hold in here to make sure that it is going to be safe, and that it's obviously got to be profitable for you as well. But we are just not geared up for these massive sporting events that they put on. It's sad, but we're just not geared up for that. Because obviously you've got town council staff, and the same town council staff work in events. We're not able to keep on top of all of the work, so there are things that have slipped by the wayside that shouldn't be slipping by the wayside, whether that be the town council side or the event side. An example, and I'm quite happy to share with this, last month, because I've worked 2 Saturdays, I've lost 30 hours worth of toil. So, but I needed to be here so I could see for myself, following the negative comments that we had received. I think the other thing is as well, is we are not massively expensive. We've reviewed the bar tariffs. We've had a look at the different suppliers. If you hire the hall, you're practically hiring the whole building because of the way it's laid out. We are regularly challenged by event organisers that they want it for 2015 prices or 2013 prices. It simply just isn't cost effective. We've got staff to pay, we've got lighting to put on. When I've done some workings out between what event organisers have paid and what they should have paid, and most of them are getting it for less than 50% of what they should have paid. So we're obviously, at the moment, we're dealing with events that have been booked prior to me being here, because I'm not convinced I would have been as lenient, because everything costs. The alcohol's gone up. We've had to pay for door staff recently. you know, so and everything has gone up. We appreciate a lot of these organisations, you know, might not have a lot of money, but when they plan an event, they know how much it costs. They're not new to this. They know how much it costs. So, and all of this is happening while it's put a significant amount of pressure on the staff. You know, our casual staff, like I say, we've just done a recruitment. Some of them worked the previous Saturday, but none of them worked this Saturday, so it was left to us. The kickstarting team, well, that scheme's now finished. We can't have any more. One of the Kickstart team was successful in the finance apprenticeship role. One of them didn't want a role other than be on the casual register, and one of us left with nothing. The apprenticeships, we have recruited to the finance apprenticeship. We haven't recruited to the environmental apprenticeship role yet, but we should do this week. So basically, I think what I'm trying to say is, in light of the resignations, we really do need to do a lot of reviewing around what you actually need as a town council, what you need as a civic hall, which is why I'm sort of recommending we put in the fixed term posts. We currently have 2 agency staff which are from an agency. They are very expensive because you pay a premium rate. So by putting them putting fixed term roles in, they could apply for these roles, and you would be paying a more standard rate of pay. So, you know, I would recommend that, you know, we recruit to fixed term projects and grants officer role for 12 months to see whether that's actually what the town council need, to see how it goes, and also recruit to a fixed term events and administration officer for a period of 12 months as well. That will allow you to consider what is going to happen with the building, and then, you know, if they keep the building, you will have to look at how you're going to manage that side of the civic hall, because currently we can't continue as we are.
Thank you for that, Helen. Very comprehensive. Right. It's recommended that members note the information regarding the resignations, which are a done deal. We know about that, so that's... And that we approve the recruitment of fixed-term project grants officers role for a period of 12 months. Anyone got anything they'd like to say on that one before we vote on it? Anyone? No? No. Right. Can we move to approve it? Okay. Yeah, thanks very much. That one. I think that was unanimous, was it? Yeah. I thought I'd better do a quick one. Right. Okay. Thank you. And I think that, you know, maybe we should have a meeting at some point. Yeah, sorry, Helen. No. I was just saying another meeting at some point to discuss all the things that have gone, that you've laid out in here today, because, you know, there's things when I'm hearing about them and I'm thinking, no, this can't go on. Right.
And just for clarification for myself, because I may have missed it, has Stuart left now? Stuart Wardle. Has Stuart gone? Where's he?
Stuart isn't. Stuart's doing ad hoc work, so in particular just around the D3 report. He's not on the payroll as such. He only gets paid for what he does, and it's simply around the D3 report.
So, okay.
Thank you. I've got to be honest. I'm too old to be pulling all-nighters in the civic hall. You know, it is hard work.
We appreciate that. Very, very much appreciate what the rest of what you did, because apparently last Saturday was something to behold. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Jeanette.
I know you've outlined all of those things that are happening, but can we maybe just have a discussion about whether we should be putting any more of these large sporting events into the diary, like now? Because if people are coming forward and asking, you know, for us to take on board and have an event for them, should we, you know, just basing it on risk, should we be actually doing that? If we can't guarantee that we can have the right number of staff in there, should we be going ahead and offering that to people, basically? Because there's, you know, a whole amount of risk that is for the council, for the people, you know, for our reputation, you know, for the whole accident side of things. If we're not comfortable and confident that we can give people a safe event, I really seriously think that we shouldn't be offering it, personally. I don't know what other people think.
We've got 2 more big sporting events booked in. One is on the 13th of May and one is for a date in August. And the one in August is for somebody who had their event 2 weeks ago. That individual runs quite a tight ship. But I have to be honest, other than those 2 events, I wouldn't recommend we booked any more big sporting events, because I don't think that the building isn't geared up for it, and they are huge. Like the chair said, Saturday was a sight to behold, and Saturday was very difficult to control.
Just how do other people feel on that subject? I mean, I'm quite happy with the fact that there are 2 that are booked in that we can't cancel. How do people feel about the idea that we don't book any more until we know a bit more?
I think we've got to obviously look after the staff that we have, and if that's how they feel, well, then I think we have to go down that road. Moving forward, if everything went swimmingly and what have you, there is possibly another conversation to be had with these people to see whether or not they actually put their own security type of staff in, their own, you know, if it's that type of thing. But that's for a much further down the line. I think to start with, we have to look after the staff. Yeah. And if that's their feeling, then I think we have to seriously consider and take that on board.
I totally agree.
So we are we happy to receive the recommendations then on the staffing, and that to say that we really don't think that it's a good idea to be booking any more in after the 2 that were already here.
Thank you.
Right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Right. Events 2020, to note the new date for Miners Sunday. We've all seemed to have forgotten it. We know that it was, and you said it now, we've forgotten it.
It's the 21st.
Sorry, 21st of August. Yes. Right.
21st of August. And
Thank you.
just on that as well, obviously the Queen's Jubilee, we will have a beacon lighting that I was under the impression had all been arranged but wasn't. So I've just been speaking to the chair about this, and arrangements have been made, if this is agreeable with yourselves, to light the beacon for the event to start at 9 p.m. on the 2nd of June, to light the beacon at 9:45, which is when the whole country lights their beacon. We allow it to burn for 15 minutes. Our town mayor would be there to say a few words, and the leader of the council would be there to say a few words, and obviously anybody else who would like to come along. We were going to ask Packed House to see whether they would be able to open for some coffee, teas and some snacks. And then the beacon would burn for 15 minutes and then it would be switched off. There are a number of large events in the area that are doing things on the 2nd for the Queen's Jubilee, but obviously we, as a town council, we want to commemorate the Queen and her time on her throne.
Okay. Can you just note that one? Right. And now, neighbourhood wardens update. You're on, James.
Switch on this time. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just to, probably best first, just to refresh everyone's memories, for environmental services, each year I produce an ops plan, which gives us a guidance work plan for both the environmental caretakers and the neighbourhood wardens. We use this as guidance to work together as a whole team so we can interact with one another, see where our workloads cross over, and it's a good way of being an effective team for the council. We do it also obviously to meet the needs of the public, but also to meet the priorities that you as a council have set out in terms of environmental services. I mean, that plan includes events, activities. We look at comms plans on what's good PR for the council, where we can be proactive. I'm hoping that people have noticed the enhancement on social media and Facebook from the neighbourhood wardens publishing a lot of the works that they're doing. And we actively assess the comms that we're doing. But tonight, just to give you a bit of an update on the neighbourhood wardens, a few of you already commented tonight that you've seen me out on a mower and a strimmer and up to the clarts in it. So I haven't actually met with my two neighbourhood wardens for the last couple of weeks, although I'm speaking to them on a daily basis. I haven't sat down with them. I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about what we've produced since the beginning of the year, statistics-wise. But I've asked the guys just to give me a quick update what they've been doing in the last 3 or 4 weeks, just so you've got a taste of what they're doing. So just individually, John Smith, I'm sure all of you have met John, really proactive guy, really helpful guy, can't do enough. He's asked me to tell you all that, you know, and he does, he has an extensive portfolio of images of the different things that he's doing. I'm happy for anyone to meet him, but I'd rather, if you do want to meet him, come through me, just so I can ensure that it doesn't affect any works that he's doing or work streams that he's doing, because John will perhaps be too helpful and get pulled away. But he you know, he's happy to sit down with any councillor and go through some of the works he's doing. In the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's been assisting the police with a range of calls within the Stanley area, engaging with the antisocial behaviour issues that have been happening. He's also been involved with a missing person. He's working hard on yards and gardens at the moment with landlords, tenants, social housing, where necessary. He's issued some fixed penalty notices for this. He's been doing a bit of duty of care, visiting the businesses, looking at the waste in the bins and how they're getting rid of their waste. He's been doing quite a few stop checks for scrap vehicles and waste carriers licences. He actually had the police attend to one this in March, which was quite exciting, but I won't go into the detail. Lots of fly tipping has been going on. He's taking reports from the local community. He's investigating it. I think he's starting to build up a really good rapport within the different wards with different individuals, and he likes getting his hands dirty, and he likes getting my hands dirty as well, telling me to come and give him a hand, pulling shopping trolleys out of rivers and whatnot. But he's been doing a lot of focused foot patrols, mainly in sort of retail areas. He's been supporting Durham County Council wardens for partnership work and events within the Stanley area. He's in with the schools at the minute. He's been engaged with them for some time. He's been doing lots of litter picking events. I imagine some of you have attended them. And he's going to be doing a big project with them on the lead up to the Queen's Jubilee. Fingers crossed. He's another example of the community sort of work he's done a lot of work with St Stephen's Community Centre at Craghead and Quaking Houses Community Centre to help them with the support for the Ukraine aid. So he's been helping coordinate that. And we've been doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tree planting as well, so he's constantly involved in that. So that's just a taste of what John's been doing over the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks, but I will give you some stats from the beginning of the year in a second. In terms of Dave Jarvis, well, we all know he's the horticulturalist amongst us. He's been working really hard on Northumbrian Bloom, especially over the last 3 or 4 weeks. We've got our judges coming out for spring judging on Friday. It's been a real struggle at the minute for whatever reason, whether it's the storms or the frosts or the lack of frost, should I say. Things don't seem to be taken in Stanley this year, but our main priority is to get it clean and tidy. However, that's the environmental caretakers who have been doing a lot of that. Dave's been working really hard to try and engage with the 10 partners that we already had, but he's also engaged 10 new partners to enter in the It's Your Neighbourhood category. So we've got a bigger array of people coming in on our In Bloom this year. He's wanted to get into In Your Neighbourhoods because we believe it might be an easier way for us to really get into the 7 different wards. Following the success of Blooming Good Fun over the years, last year proved to be a really good crop of people, as they all seem really keen to work with Dave to start having some coffee mornings, meet up, share ideas, how they can get involved. So Dave's actively trying to encourage that bit of work and hopefully step back from it and let them do it themselves. And if we can show that little bit of support, well, ultimately that's what Northumbrian Bloom's about. It's about communities getting involved. So by us doing our Blooming Good Fun, it's helped assist with that. Dave's constantly doing his proactive work as well. So he's doing his daily patrols. He's done 26 proactives in the last in March. A couple that he wanted me to mention: the Oakies Park player was covered in foul and abusive graffiti. He's been constantly dashing them on the system and engaging with DCC to get them removed quickly. And anyone noticed he was the first person to notice the gateway feature on No Place, where a vehicle had come off but it actually damaged a manhole cover, so it's kind of he's reacted quickly to that. But that's just an example. That's not one thing that he's just done for the whole time. It's just to give you an example. But that's just in the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks, the types of works they've been doing. Just to give you some stats and sort of to go through exactly what the neighbourhood wardens do. And this is for January, February and March. Dog fouling, they did 21 investigations and education, and 1 advisory letter was sent out. Littering, they've been focusing quite hard on education. To do this, they've been doing litter picking events. They've done 14 in the last 3 months, which is a good uptake, some of them being schools as well. Untidy yards and gardens, they've done 27 investigations. They've served 11 community protection warnings issued, 7 community protection notices issued. They've done 42 council tax checks, and a fixed penalty notice has been issued. They've done 52 fly tipping investigations, vehicle checks with the police. They've carried out 5, 2 of which were waste carriers licences. I mentioned previously that the police got involved in one of them. Businesses, duty of care visits. Just recently, obviously, I just mentioned John's been doing that. He's just carried out 2 under the Section 47 of the Environmental Act, which is really good to start getting into the businesses and assisting with them. I kind of look at it, we shouldn't just be visiting businesses when they're not doing it right. We should be engaging with the businesses all the time, and John seems to be quite proactive about that. We've had 5 reports of abandoned vehicles. By the way, I should say this is all just Stanley Town Council neighbourhood wardens, these figures. We had 5 reports for abandoned vehicles, and 5 of which were removed. Antisocial behaviour, just by the Stanley Town Council, 29 investigations. 23 of these were through the airwaves, which is really, really good, because that proves that we link in with the police really successfully, and we can be relied upon by the police. Northumbrian Bloom, direct engagement. Now, I've always said we use Northumbrian Bloom to engage with our communities. We've had 115 interactions through means of Northumbrian Bloom in the last 3 months. Community and environmental engagement, so that could be through other means, 127 interactions. proactive jobs, we've carried out 110 of them, so that's very much about them going out and looking for issues to try and improve Stanley, getting the different agencies and partners on board to get these proactive sorted out. They've carried out 4 environmental campaigns. They've carried out estate walkabouts from the beginning of the year. They carried out 2 of them, New Kyo and Anfield Plain. They have been trying to get into Quakeys, but for whatever reason, it's been held back. But like I said, they will both be, it'll probably be Dave that contacts the local councillors when he is doing an estate walkabout, and that will involve everything that we're sort of talking about now and any issues councillors have. Foot patrols, they've carried out high-vis foot patrol, 58 high-vis foot patrols. And like I said, John's lately, he's been really trying to concentrate on retail areas. So, the lads constantly busy. We do work as one big team wherever we can, and it seems to work really well. Yeah, so I'm personally happy with the way the neighbourhood warden service is going. I hope that helps.
Wow, thank you for that. Well, they have been busy, haven't they? Thanks, it's a very comprehensive report. Anyone got any questions? Any? No? Oh, you got a light there, didn't you? Yeah. Right. Oh. You're asked to note the verbal update. Okay? All right. Okay. And you'll be very pleased to hear we now get to the time and date and venue of the next meeting, Tuesday the 24th of May 2020, 6:30 in the Civic Hall. Thank you very much for your attendance, ladies and gentlemen.